So if you took the red pill, you decided to come and see how to improve your CAD drawings. CAD is something that is of this century, of this age and of this time. It's much quicker than drawing by hand, and it's much easier when you're sending the drawing to consultants or to other peers, or if you want to print it out on any scale. But if your drawings are terrible, it's going to be difficult for you. Anyways, here are the 5 ways to improve your CAD drawings. The first thing to do is to add shadows. Because we always get carried away in drawing things in 2D, and because we understand it, sometimes we forget that for other people it's much difficult for them to visualize something if it's not 3D. Imagine if the whole world did not have shadows. Imagine if everything was flat for a moment. Things would be hard to pop out. The beauty of depth of field, things coming forward at you or things being behind, would not really be pleasing. So when you're drawing, for example, if you're drawing an elevation, don't forget to put shadows. If there is a drop ceiling, or if there's something protruding out that creates a shadow, don't forget to add a gray stroke. For example, you could use the gray 8 on AutoCAD, or you could use the 259, and you can create shadows. And when you're creating the shadows, try not to make it more than at least 2 inches, because overshadowing something might make it lost in translation. And when you're printing it, make sure that the shadows work well with the drawing. For example, I'm probably going to have some images showing the difference between a flat image and an image with actual shadows on it, which can improve your artistic rendering and also please the client. The second thing you can do to improve your drawings on CAD is work with line weights. Line weights can be very complex, can be very complicated, but if you are decent at it, you can actually improve your drawings much more. For example, making a line thicker or making a line skinnier, changing the color of a line, changing the profile of a line can actually create a difference in your drawings. And make sure you look at this before you print it, because line weights could look good on computer, but when you print it, it might come out differently, and that's going to be one of the other ways to improve your drawings. If you're drawing an interior elevation and you're trying to show the difference between something that's in front and something that's behind, for example, let's say there is a credenza in front and there is a piece of furniture behind or millwork behind, don't just draw everything as one line. Make sure the one in front is most likely darker, and then the other lines behind are lighter. And by this I don't mean changing the color of the line. Most likely just change the thickness of the line to improve your drawings. The third way to make your drawings better on CAD is to decorate the view. Sometimes you can get carried away while you're trying to complete a drawing by just giving them the bare minimum, but sometimes adding an artistic view or adding a little rendering can actually make the drawing pop out better. For example, if you're drawing an elevation, there's nothing wrong in showing trees, there's nothing wrong in showing maybe a bird or a small rendering of a cloud. This actually animates your drawing, this gives your drawing life, it creates something for the client to look at. And even if the client is not that impressed, someone else like a peer will look at it and you'll inspire them to actually be better. And if you're doing interior drawings, make sure you add artwork. Make sure you might have to add some furniture. Maybe the furniture doesn't have to face you directly in the 2D view. Maybe you might have to tilt the furniture at a 35-degree angle so that it adds character to the drawing. And even though this might not do much for a consultant or for someone that's constructing the project later on, it creates something for you to keep and something to be proud of and something for the client to actually understand better. The fourth way to improve your drawings on CAD is to understand plotting. Now, plotting is something that might be complicated because we're so used to just pressing Ctrl P on CAD and selecting things and printing it. But sometimes if you actually pay attention to the thickness of the lines and to the way things might look when they're printed out, it actually improves the quality of your drawings. Because the truth is that AutoCAD and Adobe are not best friends, so sometimes things might look well on CAD, and when you plot it on CAD it looks alright, but when you translate it to Adobe PDF and you're trying to print it out, it might look completely different. I've had these kind of problems where I preview something on AutoCAD and the transparency works, but then once you plot it and it goes to Adobe, it's just very plain. like the transparency is at 0 and everything looks muddled up. So just like when you are drawing something by hand and you present it, of course you're gonna have to look over it before you present it. Things look better in your head, but then when you render it by hand, it might be different. The same goes for plotting. When you're plotting, make sure that you look at the plotting in the viewpoint. Make sure that you change the line weights of certain things. For example, some layers are going to be thicker than other layers, and work with that so that your plots look better. And the last thing to look at, the number 5 thing to improve your drawings on CAD, is to understand dynamic blocks. Dynamic blocks they don't necessarily improve your technical drawing, but working with dynamic blocks makes your drawings much faster. Because, for example, if you are drawing a toilet, a WC in plan, and you're trying to recreate that in the elevation, it's going to take time for you to try and draw it on plan and draw it on elevation. But if you create dynamic blocks in which you can take the plan and you can just, by the click of a button, turn it into an elevation or turn it into an isometric drawing, your drawings would actually be much better, because instead of spending time trying to do that, you can actually just click and it's done, and you go to something else. So this one is not more of how to improve a drawing per se, but it's also how to utilize and speed up the time for you to draw, giving you more time to draw. So those are 5 ways to improve your CAD drawings. Click here if you want to look at how to improve drawings by hand. But otherwise, if you want to see anything else, if you want any other advice, or if you have advice to tell me, because I don't know everything, please don't forget to put something in the comments below. And please don't forget to subscribe, share, and I will see you later. Thanks. Bye.